The moment she said it, the air between them seemed to shatter like fragile glass in bright daylight. Sunlight poured through the tall office windows, glinting off polished marble floors, but nothing could soften the weight of her words. A powerful female CEO, respected and untouchable in the business world, stood with her hands folded tightly in front of her desk, eyes steady yet trembling inside. Across from her sat a single father who had survived too many losses to count. His breath caught in his chest as realization struck him all at once. In that single second, his entire future rewrote itself. He was going to be a father again in a way he never imagined. Before the story unfolds further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles, take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to The Touch of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Her name was Ilara Whitmore, 41 years old, the CEO of a fast-growing medical technology company that dominated headlines. She was admired for her brilliance, her discipline, and her calm authority during daytime board meetings that left senior executives silent. But behind the glass walls and tailored suits lived a woman who returned every evening to a quiet penthouse where success echoed hollowly. Years of chasing excellence had cost her a family she never built and a body that no longer promised time. Doctors had spoken carefully, compassionately, but the truth was unavoidable. If she wanted a child, it had to be now, and the path would not be simple. The man sitting across from her was named Rowan Hale, 36 years old, a systems analyst recently hired by her company after relocating from a small town. He carried himself with humility, shoulders slightly stooped, not from weakness but from years of responsibility. His life revolved around his 6-year-old son, Micah, a bright-eyed boy who waited every afternoon at daycare, counting minutes until his father arrived. Rowan's wife had passed away during a sudden illness 3 years earlier, leaving him with grief that never fully healed, and a child who became his entire reason for waking up each morning. Rowan had not expected this meeting to be anything more than a performance review. The company was thriving, and he had worked tirelessly, often staying late during the day to ensure systems ran flawlessly so he could leave early enough to pick up Micah. He respected Ilara deeply but kept a careful distance, knowing power often came with invisible lines. When she asked him to stay back after the meeting, he felt a flicker of anxiety, not curiosity. Ilara had noticed Rowan months earlier, not in the way rumors would later suggest, but in the quiet consistency of his work. He never spoke over others, never claimed credit loudly, yet problems seemed to dissolve around him. What truly caught her attention, however, was the photograph he kept on his desk, a small frame showing a little boy laughing under a bright daytime sky, sitting on a man's shoulders at a park. There was something pure in that image, something she realized she had never had. Over time, she learned about Rowan without prying. The loss of his wife, the way he scheduled meetings only during school hours, the way he refused promotions that would demand relocation. It wasn't ambition that defined him, but devotion. And in that devotion, Ilara saw not just a good employee, but a good man. When she finally spoke her request, her voice did not shake, but her heart did. She explained her situation without melodrama, without self-pity. She spoke of time slipping away, of wanting a child not as an accessory but as a purpose. She spoke of legal clarity, of responsibility, of no expectations beyond respect and honesty. She spoke in daylight plainly, as a businesswoman would, but behind her words lived a woman asking for the most human thing of all. Rowan listened, frozen. His mind raced through memories of holding Micah as a newborn, of hospital corridors, of promises whispered to a woman he loved and lost. He felt fear, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of gravity. This was not an offer that could be weighed lightly. It was life-altering, irreversible. He thought of Micah first, as he always did. He thought of how another child would change their small, careful world. He thought of whether his heart, still bruised, could expand again. Days passed before Rowan gave an answer. Elara did not rush him. During those days, life continued in daylight rhythms. Rowan packed lunches, fixed loose shoelaces, and watched Micah draw pictures of a family with too many smiles for such a small page. Elara, meanwhile, walked through sunlit corridors of power, signing contracts worth millions, yet feeling more vulnerable than ever before. When Rowan finally agreed, it was not out of obligation or awe. It was out of something quieter and stronger. He believed in building something honest. He believed in responsibility, and deep inside he believed that life sometimes offered paths that made no sense until you walked them. The arrangement was careful, respectful, and transparent. Lawyers ensured boundaries, doctors outlined steps, and everything was done in the clear light of day. But no amount of planning could prepare either of them for the emotional undercurrent that followed. Elara found herself watching Rowan more closely, noticing how he spoke gently to Micah during lunch visits, how he knelt to listen rather than tower over. Rowan found himself seeing Elara not as a title, but as a woman who laughed softly when Micah showed her a crooked drawing of a rocket. The pregnancy changed everything. For Elara, it was a physical transformation that grounded her in ways boardrooms never could. Morning sickness during meetings, exhaustion beneath sharp blazes, and a constant awareness that something precious was growing within her. For Rowan, it was the realization that his life was expanding again. He attended appointments during lunch breaks, standing quietly in bright clinics, feeling awe and fear intertwine. Micah sensed the shift before it was explained. Children often do. He noticed the way Elara smiled more when she visited, the way his father's eyes softened when he spoke about the future. When Rowan finally told him about the baby, it happened under a clear daytime sky at the park where they always went. Micah's reaction was not confusion, but joy. He asked if he could teach the baby how to draw stars. As months passed, rumors tried to bloom, but truth stood taller. Elara addressed her company openly, explaining her pregnancy without scandal, without shame. Respect followed her honesty. Rowan continued his work, grounded and steady. They were not a fairy tale, not a secret romance, but something rarer. They were two people choosing responsibility and kindness over fear. The day the baby was born arrived quietly, under a soft afternoon sun. Elara held her daughter, tears tracing paths she never allowed herself before. Rowan stood nearby, heart pounding, realizing that love did not divide, it multiplied. When Micah met his sister, his small hand reached out instinctively, as if he had been waiting his whole life for that moment. Life did not become perfect. It became real. Elara balanced motherhood and leadership, sometimes stumbling, often learning. Rowan navigated fatherhood anew, guided by experience and humility. They built a family not bound by traditional beginnings, but by deliberate care. If this story is touching something deep inside you, take a moment right now to pause and reflect on how kindness and courage can change lives. Years later, people would ask how it all started. Some expected drama, others scandal. But the truth was simple. It began with honesty, in broad daylight, and a question asked with courage. It grew through trust, patience, and shared responsibility. It became a family because everyone chose love over fear. Before the story ends, here is a special request. Comment below with the word kindness if you believe families are built by heart, not by circumstance. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you that second chances arrive in unexpected forms, please like, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive, reaching souls who need hope today.